I'm Joanna Garzilli, award-winning author and life coach. Welcome to the Looking Glass podcast. Sometimes the answers to our questions come quickly when we least expected it, and other times it takes a while. And at times, those questions, or rather the answers that come, are not the answers that we want, and other times they are. And so sometimes when we ask a question, maybe we're not really asking a question because we want to think what we want to think, we want to believe what we want to believe. And this is where there is, I believe, great power in self-reflecting. I was standing in the kitchen and I was feeling a little bit weird because of the anger, the frustration, the venting I have done on our last 2 to 3 times that we've been together, from the alien to the headshot to me just being, I want to leave my job, and feeling resentful. I had a piece of multigrain bread in the toaster, and as I was waiting, a light bulb went off in my head, and I got this flash, this image of 2 things. One was one of my bosses just shouting at me, and they're really, let me just preface this, they're a very good person, super sweet, big heart, and I understand that they shouted at me because they're going through things. They've got stuff going on. They're human. And they were frustrated. And maybe they didn't understand certain things that I was doing, and they just let it out and expressed it. But that, for me, I realized was a trigger. I've been in situations like that before where someone just shouts at me, and I'm a mega empath and I feel it go through my whole body. And so when someone's saying, "Look at me, Joanna, look at me," I mean, I felt like a deer in the headlights. And again, I know that it wasn't meant in a negative way, but what happened from that was, I think because I was open and I feel like my guard was down and I had been trying to do my best, afterwards, I felt like I had been energetically punched in the stomach. I felt like I'd been shat on. And I know that wasn't the intention of that person. But then what happens is that, again, this was what activated my pain body. It set me off. And then I felt myself stop caring. Now, the positives that came out of it were that I did go and have good communication with that person the following week. I spoke up by myself, which is something that, why do I get frustrated at times? When I internalize things and I don't speak up because I'm scared of someone reacting. But if I don't speak up, then that person's going to have a reaction anyway. And it doesn't matter whether what I said or did, or they said or did, was a positive thing or a negative thing. Just expressing it in that way doesn't feel good for me. I wonder if there's something for you in your life, a time where someone has just gone off at you and started shouting, and how that made you feel, what comes up for you around that. Maybe you've never had that experience, but if you're here with me, there's a good probability that you haven't been brilliant with setting boundaries. You've had to work hard at that. And that there have been times where you have let people speak to you and treat you in a way that isn't the way that you would like to be spoken to, with, and treated. And the other person, my other boss, who is sort of not as outward expressive, but just sort of bursts in energy and is more what I would refer to as passive aggressive, that it gave me such a shock. I felt like I'd been trying so hard. I'd been working so hard. And the way that they came at me, I felt really threatened. So at the time, it was like, it felt like it came from nowhere. And I didn't know how to handle it. And then afterwards, I started crying, which I can't think of a time when I've cried at work. But then it felt as if the damage had been done. And so what were the positives that came from that? I learned again to start to speak up and value my thoughts, my opinions. And again, this person that I'm speaking about, they're a really good person with a good heart. And I know they've gone through a lot in their lives. And I know they were under a lot of pressure. But at the same time, it doesn't excuse it, because I've seen them not do that with other people, but do that with me. And then what is it in me that I'm doing that created that reflection? And so let me bring this all the way back around to how one can learn as one self-reflects. So I mentioned 2 people here. So these 2 people who have been an absolute blessing in my life, and I have learned a lot from them, and I have grown a lot. And then I have this frustration and this resentment there. And both of them, but one of them in particular, reminds me of aspects of my relationship with my father, where it's been great on many levels. I've learned so much from my dad. He's so smart and brilliant and successful and sensitive and funny. And then there's things just where we're different. And I feel as if he doesn't see those parts of me. And then I get frustrated and rebellious. And so that's what I'm aware of right now. I need to dig deeper into looking at whatever it was from my past. If I go through the looking glass into the past, I can see how the job that I'm in and the bosses I have are the perfect teaching for me. And the things that trigger me, that I resent, that I don't like, they are reflecting something about me, to me, a blind spot that I'm not yet aware of. So I understand what's the mechanism for growth. It is boundaries, and it is being able to speak up for myself. And in doing that, I have to build self-worth, confidence in myself. But I know there's something more. I can't move on in a positive way, because I could leave this job, but then I could take the pattern with me, because everywhere I go, there I am. And be like, oh, good, well, I've gone from that, and they were this, and carry resentment. No, that doesn't set me free. If I want to truly embody Eye of the Tiger, I don't know what totem it is for you, if there's an animal that comes to mind. If I want to be free from the cage, I don't know for you what that environment that would be that you would feel trapped in. I know I have to look deeper. I have to be patient. I have to let things unfold. I need to have compassion and kindness towards myself. I need to put myself first so that I can see clearly, appreciate the lessons I've learned, and that I can then move on peacefully so that it is win-win. I'm Joanna Garzilli. Thank you for reflecting with me, and I very much look forward to connecting with you next time. Please subscribe and share this podcast, and sign up for updates at joannagarzilli.com or looking-glass.me.